Hey everybody, it's Gene here with Monitoring Tool Reviews, where I personally test each and every performance monitoring product I can get my hands on so that I can take a look at it, review it, and help you figure out whether it's something worth looking further into for your organization. So let's get into the review. So today we're going to be taking a look at Stackdriver Monitoring. Stackdriver Monitoring is a product from Google that helps with cloud native apps on both Google Cloud Platform and Amazon Web Services. So as we scroll through this page down here, what we see is that it's full stack monitoring, all from Google. It covers both GCP and AWS or hybrid deployments of those two. If you have them, obviously you can look at getting information about issues for your apps. And one of the things that I like about it is that the various integrations that it has. But first, let's take a look at the pricing. So, as someone who's been doing in the performance monitoring space for about 20 years now, one of the things that I really like about some of these more cloud-centric performance monitoring tools is the pricing structure. No more years ago, no more of this, pay up front for a licensing or maintenance fee or something like that before you've even had a chance to use it. A lot of the pricing is based on pay per use. For stack driver monitoring, for example, if you're using if you have your deployments on a Google Cloud platform, basically everything is free for you. And if you're not using GCP, or you have your instances, for example, on AWS, you get 150 meg or less per month. And you can see here from the pricing, effectively, 25 cents, 150 to 100 thousand meg, basically 100 gig. Up to 100 gig, you're only paying 25 cents. Beyond 100 gig, you're paying about 15 cents, and beyond 250 gig, you're paying 6 cents. So it's all based on pay per use. So you obviously, the more data you have, you want to be careful with that. But the pricing is very flexible, and that's that I really like that, and it makes for you to kind of ease into using a tool like Stack Driver Monitoring to monitor all of your applications. So let's kind of get into it here. So in order to get to Stackdriver, you would need to create have an account with GCP at some point if you're using GCP, obviously. But if you're using AWS, what I'm showing you, what I have here is just I have an account. What is my account with GCP, and you can just go through from GCP. So we click on the console here, and that'll take us to the console. So we get to the console, and in your GCP instance, you have your project, and effectively from your project, you have the ability to go. If you scroll all the way down here under Stack Driver, so you have monitoring. So there are other um, features of Stack Driver itself. We're not going to get into that, though these other features today. I'll probably do a review of these other ones on a later date. But today I want to focus on the monitoring piece. So let's click on monitoring. So when you go to Stack Driver was a product before it became part of Google. Google bought them a few years ago, so it has its own separate URL domain, stackdriver.com. And when you click on it from GCP, you click on the monitoring URL, and it takes you here. So what I have here is basically I have a couple of instances here that I've run some tests on to kind of show to be able to that I use to be able to take a look at this and be able to review the product here. And this the first screen that you see that I land on is this monitoring overview, and this effectively is like a dashboard of all the different like a quick dashboard of what you have, the instances and any storage that Stackdriver Monitoring has detected. If I had any uptime checks and charts that I had created, a lot of that stuff is there. By default, it gives you these four that you see here: CPU utilization, receive bytes, sent bytes, and disk read bytes. You can change these. Obviously, you can add more. Um, I'm not sure how they came to selecting these four. I know me personally, one of the things that I would like to see as a quick dashboard when I get into something is I would like to know where the errors are happening. Right, CPU utilization. That's great. Receive bytes, sent bytes. That's nice, but I would not just want to know what's been sent or received, but what's dropping. If there are issues that I'd like to be able to kind of jump right into, it would be nice to be able to see that here. So I guess that's something that you can always add, obviously, but I'm curious as to why they added just these four. But anyway, this monitoring overview is effectively a dashboard for you that once you come into here, you can kind of get a quick glance of how your applications are doing. So let's kind of go through and give you guys a walkthrough here of Stackdriver monitoring. And the first thing I want to take a look at is the resources. You see resources dashboard here. You can also get here. So the resources is basically everything that Stackdriver has discovered um, in terms of metrics that can be monitored in your systems, basically. So whether it's your instances, your applications, whether you're running, in this case, if it's GCP, whether you have Google App, you're running Google App Engine, you have applications on Google App Engine, or you have GCE instances. This here infrastructure, this automatically gets discovered for you because, especially on GCP, the Stackdriver agent already comes as part of it. So once you add Stackdriver to your GCP account, all that stuff, Stackdriver based the agent basically kind of gets triggered and it starts collecting data. And once you come here, it'll auto discover some of the things that you may already have. And as I mentioned earlier, I have two instances, right? So I can just go here and just select instances and see get kind of like a high level overview of how my instances are performing, CPU usage. Um, Memory's not here. Memory is something that needs to be added. It's not there by default, but you can kind of get to see some of those. But if I wanted to add new metrics, beyond CPU, that I want to create charts for, I go to Metrics Explorer, and this will come up based on the things that were detected, and you can see here the VM instance, GAE, Google App Engine, and many other things. So all the various different types of metrics that can be collected, I can add them and create charts for a lot of these things. And I like being able to, you can kind of quickly go to 1 hour, 6 hour, 1 day, 1 month, and that kind of thing, and just save it as a chart. And once I saved it as a chart, you could basically add it to your dashboard, as we'll see a little bit later on. The next thing you want to be able to do is once you have all of these charts, right, you always want to be able to create dashboards. And you have that ability in Stackdriver monitoring. So you can basically just go in and create a dashboard here, and you can create your dashboard. Just go to add to chart, and pretty much kind of gives you a view into resources. So let's just say we wanted to create a CPU utilization chart. So we just go here and we select CPU utilization, um, and we have that here, and we just simply add metric, and we can add more if we wanted to, some more metrics if we wanted to. So but let's say we're done with that. We give our dashboard a name. Let's just call it um, utilization dashboard, and that's our dashboard. Let's see if we wanted to take a look at it. See errors. we start, once you start typing here, it tries to give you errors, any errors, whatever words you start typing, start seeing in the drop down here. So let's see, dropped bytes. So let's add that as a metric, and we save that. Um, so okay, so we have that. So we have CPU utilization, we have errors, we have errors. So now we have our dashboard. So we can see it's pretty straightforward. We can have this set up where it auto refreshes. So if you're sitting there, if you have this on the screen, for example, you have the one of the things I like about this is the ability you can do like a full screen. So if you have this on a TV, you can just have it full screen and it kind of shows up like that, or you can have an individual chart be shown full screen as well. So if you have this on a TV and you turn this to auto refresh, you basically just effectively show it on the TV if you so for a NetOps team or something like that, some ops team that's looking at all this stuff, they can kind of see it. So you have your dashboard, but in situations where you're not, either you're part of the team that you're not there, you're not part of the ops team where you're sitting in front of the computer, or you're sitting in front of a screen to kind of be able to see this. You want to be able, you have other stuff, right, that you were probably doing, so you're not able to be in front of your screen. So you want to be able to have something where you can have some alerts, for example. So you also have the ability to create alerts in Stackdriver monitoring, and you can go here and let's say we try to create let's create a policy alert, and we go in and we add a condition. Let's see, something like drop packets. Um, so let's say drop packets and advance anytime. So anytime the serious, so a condition is if anytime it violates is above, um, let's say, let's see, we have 0.15 packets anyway. So if we were to take a look at this and see over the past day, okay, let's do point 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, 0.2. We want to be alerted. So if packets are, the number of drop packets are zero point 0.2 over the course is greater than, for greater than 1 minute, then that is our condition, and we can alert. You can see here there are a number of different alert mechanisms. So let's pick email, Gene at performance.com. So you add notification channel, so I'll get an email whenever that's the case. As you can see here, there are other notification types, right? Slack, if I have Slack as an integration, text messaging as an integration, or even webhook or pager duty, I can do that as well. Um, and I can go in and add a documentation, something that's a little bit more descriptive. Let's say this alert rarely happens. Because one of the things you want to avoid having alert fatigue, right? So realistically, you want something where you're not constantly being alerted and you have to go in and take a look. You want something where you're not being alerted as often, and when you do get alerted, you know what it is, and it's something that you need to get to as quickly as possible because it likely means that something bad is really happening. So you could say something like, too many drop packets on my instances. Preview, take a look here. Okay, and we name this policy drop packets. Give it a name. So now we have this alert. Right, so and I like how it kind of shows you here once you've done it. it shows you where that threshold line is. Right now, on average, for I'm below it now. So anytime it goes above this for a period of a minute, I should get an alert. So that's one of the things that I like. It's easy to create these alerts. One of the things that I don't like about this is I see no ability here to create. All of my alerts are basically static alerts. I see no ability to create dynamic alerts, and that's something that you know, I would like to be able to see. For this to be able to figure out that over time my it determines what's considered normal across my infrastructure, and when something is abnormal, it automatically notifies me of that abnormal behavior. So that's something that I don't see here that I would certainly like to see. The other thing is create uptime checks. One of the things that I like about Stackdriver is that not only is it alerting, not only is it monitoring your cloud infrastructure, um, they also have a platform that allows you to effectively run external checks against your infrastructure. So if I wanted to say create a check um, create a check that where I can create a check of how I have a web service, a web application, and check of how whether it's up or not or something like that. So let's say RPC check. I have my website, and I wanted to test it. I want to test that it's always running HTTP performance.com. And let's do my blog is always up, and I don't want it to check it every 15 minutes. Yeah, let's do every 15 minutes. Run a quick test here to see if it happens. Okay, here we go. Response 200. Okay. And then, I can get into a little bit more detail and stuff like that, but let's just go with that. So every 15 minutes, this thing will basically run a check and against my blog and see if that blog is up. And as long as it gets to HTTP 200 okay, then everything should be fine. And as you can see here, I can create an alert if it was something that was very important to me that blog is always up when that check is done, then I could just do an alert. I can create a policy on that, and I can get alerted. In this case, I can just set up an email or something like that. So that's one of the things that I definitely I think is a definite positive for Stackdriver monitoring that I really like, because at the end of the day, if this will check whether your systems, your whole infrastructure, your application is available. I mean, at the end of the day, no one cares that whether it's 200 or the performance is 2 seconds or 5 seconds or 15 milliseconds or 15 seconds or anything like that. If it's not available, it doesn't matter. So this uptime check is definitely something that I like. And if you have a lot of uh, instances or a lot of in your infrastructure, as you can see, I only have about two. But if you had a whole lot of instances, a whole lot of applications on GAE or even AWS, and you bring in all that information in, you can group some of this stuff here. So that's something that's helpful as well. That kind of that can be pretty useful to help you um, group your all of your different resources that you have that Stackdriver monitoring. So there you are. That's basically it. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say that I would give Stackdriver probably something like a 6 or a 7. There's a lot of things that it does, but monitoring itself is one of those things where it's largely showing you time series data, and that's good, and that's useful. So you can see, I can see the errors, for example, here, that there are errors. But what I would like to be able to see is, okay, if there are errors, like, see, this jump here, can I click on here or right click or anything in some way, and it takes me right to that error. So that's something that I would like to be able to see, but that doesn't seem to be there now. But overall, I think it's a pretty good tool to start being able to monitor your systems. And it's definitely something to get started with, and start playing around with. And I really like the integration with AWS, and being able to bring in hybrid cloud information. I don't believe that they support Azure as of yet, but maybe that's coming soon. But definitely, if you're on GCP and AWS, if you have your systems, your infrastructure across those two cloud providers, then it's definitely, Stackdriver is definitely something that you can use and could be useful. So that's it. That was my walkthrough of Stackdriver, and see you next time.